Okay, let's go ahead and kick off the webinar. I think everyone can hear me. Casey, nod your head if I'm coming across okay. Okay, great, thank you. So today we have got an exciting webinar, the ultimate guide to embedded analytics. And of course, your hosts, as usual, Casey McGuigan, our product manager for Reveal. She's been with the product since its inception and before. So if you have questions, concerns, feature requests, anything about Reveal, please use the chat or the question box in the webinar tools and she'll reply. And then my name is Jason Barris. I'm a Senior VP of Developer Tools at Infragistics and have been working on Reveal for the last few years. And of course, very excited about data visualization and how it can help you drive more success in your own applications and in your organization to drive a data-driven culture. So today's agenda is understanding embedded analytics, looking at embedded BI versus traditional BI, benefits, buy versus build. A lot of the stuff that we've talked about over the last couple of years, and this webinar is going to start to pull things together and maybe just remind you of the value that you can deliver in your applications. Then we're going to do a demo. Casey will do a demo, and then time permitting, if I can show some code on the server side and the client side, just to give you even a better idea of what happens with embedded analytics, I will. So let's talk about what is embedded analytics and what's the value. So embedded analytics takes the BI capabilities that you may see in like a standalone tool and puts it inside of your existing application. A lot of times when we have customer calls, they're thinking about charts and dashboards and self-service BI, but they don't understand that this is actually like a component. It's an SDK and it goes into your app. So it's within the flow of your application, which differs from traditional BI, which really is about, bringing together a bunch of data sources. It's a standalone app, like, hey, how many connectors do you have? Well, we have 400 connectors and we enable self-service BI and we allow you to set permissions in this admin tool. Well, that's very different. That's actually like a platform. I think of Power BI as more of a platform for creating dashboards and sharing with others versus taking the ability to create dashboards and serve up dashboards and analytics in your own application. So actually embedding it inside of your app. So the reason this is so popular, and maybe over the last 3 years, you've probably gotten a lot more emails and spam around embedded analytics, is because, of course, analysts are talking about it, Gartner being one of them. One of their numbers is 87% of application providers say that embedded analytics is important to their users. It doesn't mean 87% of application providers are there, but it does mean that people want to see analytics, visualizations. They want to do more with the data that's available to them in their application. So being able to enabling real-time reporting, interactive visualizations, drill downs, machine learning, all of those things drive your application success. So if you can take something from a standalone app and get it into your application and add that value, that's where you're going to see application growth. You're going to see satisfied users. You're just going to see all the benefits of like a major update to your application. And then the other big thing about embedded analytics is cost. We estimate that for you to try to build this yourself is over $700,000 just in the first year. And then by the time you ship something, it's already outdated. So do you really want to ship outdated software? Do you really want to build your own tool when there's other tools on the market that are really optimized and that's their sole purpose, is to deliver these types of analytics in your app? So eliminating developer time, eliminating the need for you to use internal dev resources is a huge reason to care about embedded analytics. And then, of course, because at Infragistics with Reveal, we have a whole UX team working on the application, on the interactions, on how this should be presented to your customers. So we're focused on UX where you don't have to, and we know that UX is top of mind of every management team in the country at any small or large organization in the world, actually, as well as at the C level. So when you think about boards of directors and CEOs, they know user experience is a key differentiator in their app. So when people are like, hey, we're just going to use some charts and stick them in our app, UX is driving value and differentiation with embedded BI. So use a tool, embed the BI, and get that benefit immediately instead of trying to go it alone. Because if you go it alone, you're always going to run into these types of customer experience problems. So when you think about the definition of customer experience, you have the people and you have product and how they interact at every touch point in your corporate journey. So your brand is defined by the experience people have. This goes right from your corporate website to the way that people are treated on the phone with support, to the way they experience your applications, either on desktop or on mobile. So ensuring that you have the right UX and experience across all of those touch points is what's impactful to your brand. So the difference between like jet.com and amazon.com, call up amazon.com and say, listen, I got this package 6 weeks ago. It doesn't fit me. And they just stop you right there. They're like, we'll process the refund. We'll send you a tag in the mail or in your email that please just take it to a UPS store. You don't need to box it up and your money's in the bank already. You call up some of these other vendors, e-commerce sites, and they want to debate you. They want to argue. They're like, you know what? You're already past the time period. You know, Amazon.com is the master at this. Apple, they're okay at it. They kind of pass on a lot of blame to the third parties that are through the App Store, but in general, they have a great brand experience through the website into their products. And then they have a lot of guidelines on how those applications behave. So if you want to portray that in your own application, look at some of these leaders and see how they're doing it. And you can deliver the same value. Embedded analytics is going to be a key part of that. So after you decide that, you know, we need to maybe modernize an application, we need some sort of digital transformation on an application set, start thinking about why you would want to use embedded analytics. Like, what are the real benefits of embedded analytics? And there's 4 advantages that come up all the time in surveys, when we talk to customers, et cetera, when we talk to analysts. Number 1, increased productivity. Number 2, data-driven culture and decision-making. Number 3, competitive advantage. And competitive advantage means not only like my application is beautiful and people recommend it, but I can also create new revenue streams with competitive advantage. And then, of course, increase revenue with that competitive advantage. So let's go into these a little bit more. So when we think about increasing the productivity of the users of your application and decreasing app switching, this is a big deal. So you can end up losing dozens of hours over a month switching between applications. So if you look at every task switch causes your brain to rewire itself anywhere from 30 to 90 seconds when you go back into the other application, and you're doing how many task switches a day? Probably dozens. By eliminating those task switches, you are increasing user productivity and you're saving a ton of time. And by task switch, what that means is, great, we're using a third-party tool like Power BI, and here's a link in the app to open a dashboard. I got to click that link. I go to another application. I'm working in this application, doing something out of the context of my flow. And then I go back into my application, and then I have to kind of rewire my brain and get back to where I was. That is the cost of lower productivity, increased task switching by not embedding what you need right into your application. So while the world has moved to a lot of maybe micro applications, like this point solution is really good at one thing, your business application needs to be good at everything, and you need to deliver those analytics at the point where they make the biggest impact, which is when the user is actually using the application. And this goes right into the culture of decision making that you can drive in your organization through your application or to your customer. So any application today, if you're doing, if you're an ISV building software and selling it, or internal applications, like let's say you're a manufacturing company and you are, configuring machines and looking at machine data that are building parts out on the shop floor, you're manufacturing boxes, it doesn't really matter. There's a lot of data being collected. So how can we then make decisions that drive our business forward with that data? Well, embedded analytics is perfect for that. Now I can start building dashboards with drill downs and allow the end users to start seeing that data, because this is their specialty, it's their domain expertise, and they can start making better decisions with that data in real time. And we always go back to this idea of analytics at the point of impact, because the point of impact is when you need to make that decision. So if I have to go off to some third-party tool and look at data and then kind of compare it to my other screen, it's kind of like you look at some of these old school dashboards where, there's 4 charts on a screen. Here's sales, here's leads, here's global revenue, and then there's be another chart that was planned, like what was the plan? And then you're supposed to like visually figure out like, oh, are we good? Are we bad? Is this up or down? All the axis labels are set at different values. Now with embedded analytics, you can give that data in a single chart with drill down, and you can make a decision very quickly. There is no guessing. So you're removing all this gut decision process that a lot of companies still do today by enabling analytics directly in the app. And then when you think about competitive advantage, a modern app experience, competitive advantage with digital transformation, with a beautiful user experience, it allows your applications to become recommendable, stickier. We say, hey, it's stickier with the customer. They're not going to leave because you're actually giving them value through the app. So staying ahead of your competitors, offering this unique value. And most of the customers of Reveal are doing embedded analytics because they need a competitive advantage with an application that may need it's like a legacy app that needs to be improved. So how do we do that? Do we have the developers go in there and start mucking with it and create, 500 more bugs? Or do we take an SDK that's already tested, insert it into our app, embed it, and then enable this with our users so the application goes through that digital transformation? So there's a lot of opportunity to drive competitive advantage with embedded analytics. And then finally, I mentioned earlier, increased revenue. This is another thing many of our customers do is they're offering add-on. Hey, do you want the dashboard add-on? The dashboard add-on is free, but if you want to create your own dashboards, it costs you X a number of dollars a month. Or you get so many dashboards for free, 100 dashboards for free. And then if you want to create more, we're going to start charging you more. So there is a lot of opportunity for you to look at, from your digital transformation efforts, new business models that can drive revenue and bring sort of more excitement to your application while also giving you a better bottom line. And so part of the sales process that we go through is, usually it starts out with talking to a business owner, a product manager, a product owner, someone who's responsible for a product, and they know like, hey, I got to move my product forward. I don't have like this, $1 million budget. Embedded analytics seems like it's a good idea. It's a good choice for me. But do I buy a solution or do I build a solution? And so then we go through this demo process and we're really talking about, the value that they want to deliver and how easy it is for them to get this into your applications. But then you have, the other side of the house, which is the development team. And the development team usually wants to build something themselves. But when you start looking at the numbers, the opportunity to deliver embedded analytics much faster than you could ever build it is excessively high. We're talking about anywhere from 12 months to 3 years versus to build something versus a week to get something embedded. and then maybe a month to get it deployed out to your customers. Most of our POCs are less than a week. On day one, people already have the SDK embedded in their application, and they're building their own dashboards. So the time to market is amazing. But when you build analytics yourself, couple things, small, fast projects, maybe, you know what? I just need a few charts. They don't need to be interactive. I don't need self-service BI. I just need to show some data in a visualization when you want 100% control. And there's some applications that maybe this makes sense, but anymore today, especially with what Reveal can offer in an embedded scenario, I don't really see the argument where I need total control over everything, because you basically have total control even using an embedded SDK like Reveal. There's limitations of support services. So maybe when you build something, let's say there's something super unique, like you're using a custom cloud provider with a custom built AI engine, and there's a weird data source format coming back, like you start getting onto these edge cases where, hey, okay, maybe we should build in that case. And then the other thing, when you build, cost predictability, and I'm going to talk about this in two ways, because with Reveal, you have a predictable cost. But if you say, hey, listen, we're just going to spend about a month on this project, one developer, and we need 4 charts, yeah, you can probably predict that cost. But long term, when you start looking at big cloud providers like Microsoft for Power BI, like Domo, like Logi Analytics, the numbers go up, 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 up. It starts out all nice and friendly. Hey, use our free S1 version on Power BI. Before you know it, it's $5,000 a month and trending up. So your costs go very high with other cloud providers. And when you should buy analytics is you want to focus on your core product. So do what you do best, right? So, I think about British Airways. British Airways doesn't build the planes. British Airways flies people all over the world. They manage all of the infrastructure to get you from point A to point B, and that's what they're best at. Boeing and Airbus build the planes because that's what they're good at, right? So you need to focus on your core product. You need to focus on what matters to your users in that business logic, and then you can add analytics on top of that. So buying, high cost to build, obviously we talked about that. We have a research paper on our website. It's 700,000 or more in the first year, just in resources to even attempt to build something like Reveal, where you've got all of the features, self-service BI, all these data connectors, you have artificial intelligence, machine learning, statistical analytics, all that good stuff, exporting to PDFs and Excels and PowerPoints. In-house support's another reason. And then faster time to market. So if you think about, you can have, and you'll see it in the demo, you can have everything in that demo up and running in your application in less than a week. It's extremely exciting. The value that you get is amazing. And it's really great to see when customers are like, wow, this was so easy. In fact, I keep these right here in front of me. Let me tell you, we were on the call with a customer the other day, and we were trying to figure out, like, hey, what did you like most about, Reveal? Like, why did you pick Reveal over other vendors? Well, they love the SDK approach. It fits in with their SDLC process. They love the dashboards. They love the UI. They love the front end experience. They loved how easy it was to build hierarchical data sources for drill down. They love the UI and the UX customizations. They love the pre-built themes. They love the fact that we support like a dozen languages out of the box. They like the fact that you can do global filtering, and they like the fact that there's an API. So, okay, that is amazing. It's almost like I could have them in a marketing commercial, but that's really the value that you get when you're looking at embedded BI. Otherwise, you'd have to think about all that yourself. A lot of companies, especially smaller software companies, don't have a UX team. So your developers would be making decisions on the user experience. And that's what we do. We have UX teams that actually make sure what we're building makes sense for the end user. So let's move on to another bit of research that we've done through surveys through talking to analysts and just through our experience over the last few years talking to customers, when they say, hey, these are the areas, these are the must-have capabilities in an embedded analytics tool that we're looking at. So everyone has their own checklists, right? And so these things start bubbling up to the top. So number one, and this is our tagline, simple and beautiful, don't settle for needing a PhD in Power BI just to build a dashboard. I mean, I go to these trade shows and I can't believe how complex these tools have gotten. We want to make our application simple, but simple meaning like doesn't mean that it's not usable. Simple meaning that anyone in your organization can build a dashboard. Anyone in your organization can muck through the drag and drop UI and get a positive outcome from that. And that's our goal. And by focusing on the beautiful aspect of it, that always bubbles up as the number one thing our customers love about our product. They love the way it looks and they love the way it's improved their application. So having this intuitive drag and drop interface and then being able to view and edit dashboards in a super simple way, and then have those show up to all the users through your embedded application is a real driver. The number two thing is, or the number two item, must-have capability is self-service. It's amazing to me that it was just last year where Power BI forced you to download a desktop application to build dashboards. If you look at something like Looker, Domo, they have separate applications where you build the dashboard and then you can post it somewhere for people to view it. They're not allowed to actually edit it in the context of your application. So self-service, BI is all about self-service. I'm in the moment. I need to experiment with some data. I need to create a dashboard and I want to post that to the organization. So with Reveal, there's no limit on the features. We don't say, hey, use this for the creator and use this for the viewer. It's the same thing. Now, the great thing is because we have an API behind the SDK, maybe you don't want people to edit. Well, you can disable editing through the API. You just say can edit equals false. And now the edit button disappears. Can export equals false. Export disappears. Or can export to Excel equals true. They only have the Excel option. So we offer all these capabilities, but then we also allow you to take them away or include them based on the type of user that's maybe logged in or something like that. Dashboard linking is very important. So being able to be looking at a chart and I want to either drill down and look at, like, let's say I'm looking at a product and I want to drill down to month, or I'm looking at a year and I want to drill down the month, or I want to link to a whole nother dashboard to give me more insight. So we allow the ability to connect to a separate URL or to another dashboard within Reveal. The separate URL is interesting. Let's say you're looking at a chart and it's machines and you've got the machine name or machine ID and you're clicking there, and then you want to go off to some other third-party tool. Well, you can just pass the URL with that ID and then go right into that other system to the correct page based on parameters passed from Reveal. So you have two options there for linking. Very powerful, much asked for feature. And then going into this data analytics. So I want statistical functions. I want forecasting. I want outliers. I want the ability to get more insight, sort of be that citizen data science person with the tool. And we allow that through Reveal. We let you not only do that yourself as a viewer, like, hey, what are the outliers in this chart? And I can just click a button, it shows me the outliers. Or you can have that pre-built into the dashboard. So when they open it up every time, it's always going to show you a forecast or an outlier or whatever. So you get a lot of power and flexibility with giving your users this rich data analysis capability. The fifth thing, this comes up all the time, and it's always part of this whole digital transformation story. Like, I need to map to this new theming and branding experience. We give you the ability to customize every aspect of the theme in Reveal. So not only do we ship 4 beautiful themes, we have a an ocean theme and a mountain theme, and they both come in a light and a dark, which you'll see in the demo today. But at the same time, let's say you don't want those themes. You want to use different fonts, different background colors, different chart colors. Everything is customizable. So no matter what your application looks like, you can match the look and feel of Reveal to your application. Now, I will tell you, and this is an unscientific number, but maybe 30–40% of our customers love our themes so much that they just change their app to our themes. So we also let you know what our theme colors are too, in case you want to do that. Number 6, and this is really important, you look at some vendors. The most recent one that comes to mind is Looker, which I was really shocked at. A company like that, Google, they've got deep pockets. They don't have an API to their embedded SDK. You basically can change a few things, color, maybe a filter option, all just through passing URL parameters, right? So what you're doing is you want to embed this. You need an SDK. You need property-driven configuration, which means, yeah, I want a property like can edit, like I want a property like back color equals, or I want to use CSS to customize this. It's crazy to me that people advertise or they promote that they have an embedded API when there is no API. Passing parameters to a URL is not a good way to have this bolt-on experience of your BI. So with Reveal, it is a true SDK. It's an SDK experience. We do continuous delivery. The way that you acquire Reveal into your application is through NuGet. We're actually adding Reveal to NPM in the next month. So you can just do NPM install Reveal and boom, it's in your application. So then your SDLC, it's part of that process of your own continuous delivery, where in your build process, you're getting latest or you're getting a specific version from NuGet or NPM, and you're not mucking around with some server-based, server that you don't really have control over. It's just providing functions to you, so through parameters. So this is a big deal, especially if you're an ISV building software. You need an SDK. And then we have this modern architecture. So we have native SDKs for desktop and web. You can build your application for WPF, Windows Forms, or if you want to do React with a Java backend, or React with a ASP.NET Core backend running on a Linux server, Angular, jQuery, web component, it doesn't matter. We support modern web client, and we support a Java backend or a .NET Core backend, which means you can run on a Linux box, a Windows box, a Mac box. It doesn't matter. Like I'm using a Mac, I run our SDK on a Mac. We deploy it to containers in AWS running on Linux, or Azure running on Windows or Linux. Doesn't really matter. So we have a very modern architecture, and it allows you the flexibility to integrate this into your application really any way that you want. So that is the 7 must-have capabilities for a embedded BI platform. I actually went through those a little quicker than I anticipated. So I'm going to pass it off to Casey for a demo. And if we have time, I'll show a little bit of code on how you would integrate this into your application. So Casey, you can take it away.
Cool. I'm sure I can leave you some minutes here. All right. Let me share. Okay. And are you seeing Reveal now?
I see Reveal now. Yep.
Okay. Awesome. So I'm going to do a little bit of a demo through our Reveal app. And you can go to the website, download either our desktop version, iOS, Android, or web version, as well as the Reveal SDK. So I'm going to show off some of the features that Jason mentioned in the 7 best, I forget what we just called it, 7 embedded interactions that you want.
Must-have capabilities.
Must-have capabilities. So I'm going to demo some of those through our app here, and then show you in one of our embed samples that I have opened how that translates into the embedded scenario. So When you first come into Reveal here, you can see I have a few different dashboards that I have already created in here. You have this like marketing sample in here. And is this in the way? Sorry, let me just do this. Okay. You have like a marketing sample in here that shows an example of how one of our customers just mentioned how much they like the dashboard level filtering. So from here, you can filter by your date, by a category field, whatever it might be for all of the widgets that you have connected to it. So you can select which widgets you want connected up to the filters that you can add up here. So you can do all time, year to date is what I'm looking for here. And you can see how your visualizations change based off the filter that you're selecting up at the top. So let's go through creating one of these dashboards here. So if you come up here to the Add New button, you can select Dashboard, and you'll be prompted to select your data source. So here you can see the ones that I have already added. And this is, of course, my name isn't Marissa. This is a demo account that I use, but you can see that I have like the Google Drive connected here, Google Analytics, Google BigQuery. If I wanted to add any others, you could come up here to the Add Data Source up here, and you can see all of the data sources that we provide for you out of the box. And we have a few new ones coming in a few weeks, Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, and I think Salesforce Marketing Cloud. So those will be added here as well. And then what we have for people kind of just getting familiar with the application, we have a sample set of data down here that you can click on. And essentially it's an Excel file up in the web where you can see the different tabs and sheets within the file here and the names that we have for them. I could preview the data within the sheets if I wanted to, or let's say we want to use this sales sheet. I will click Select Data. And all of the available fields for you in your data source come over here on the left-hand side. Here is where you would drag and drop your different fields over to create your different chart types. You can see the source you're connected to here and even change that data source if you wanted to, refresh if you want to. Your settings, so you have different settings for each of your chart types up here, and here's where you would select your different chart types. So if I was to change this to, say, a combo chart, you can see how the settings for a combo chart, of course, differ than your settings for a pivot grid here. And then as well, behind here, we have this little plus icon where you can add in a calculated field, where essentially just using the fields from within your data source, if you wanted to create maybe a close ratio in here, taking your leads and new seats that were coming in, you can create a new field to use within your visualizations as well. And then you also have your fields from another data source, so essentially data blending here. With on a common field, you can bring in another data source into this visualization as well. So you are bringing in multiple sources into one chart type here. So let's create here, we'll create a combo chart. And you can see as I selected that, these fields here actually change. So some of that easy to use, simple and beautiful approach that we like to take is really letting the user know what it is that they need in order to create their visualization. So here you're looking at a combo chart, but if I was to switch this to a pie chart, you can see how now it changes to label and value, so that we are letting you as the end user know, okay, these are the things you need in order to create your chart. So if we go back to combo, we will pull over month as our label. Our chart 1 will be leads, and let's say for chart 2, we'll do sales. Once I have the necessary fields here, you can see that my chart comes up on the right-hand side. I can, within these different fields, format these values differently. So for sales, I want to turn this into a currency. I could change the aggregation here if I wanted to, but I'll just update that. If I wanted to change anything in the leads, I could as well. But up here, we'll just give it a name for leads versus new sales. Not first, we'll give it and. Hit the done. And then once you're happy with the chart that you've created, you hit the check up here and you have your first chart for your dashboard here. Now what I can do is add one of those dashboard filters up here. So I will click add a filter. I'll click date filter, connect. And what Reveal will do is it'll recognize the date field that you're using in your data source. If you had more than one, it would just prompt you to select which date field it is that you wanted to use. Sorry, 1 second. And now here, I'll just click that I want to show this by, let's do year to date, create a filter. And now you can see that my chart here is connected up to this date filter. I can add another one too. So I can come up here and add a filter for territory. And I will select here. I could add filters on this dashboard filter if I wanted to. So if I only wanted people to be able to select maybe the APAC and EMEA territories, I could filter out that data so that those are the only ones that they can select. I can enable people to only require one field to select or multiple. So we'll leave that as multiple and click create. And now you can see here as I interact with these different filters, my data changes here as well. So a little shortcut to creating a new chart here is I'm just going to come to this overflow and click duplicate, go into edit mode. And my filters that I created at the dashboard level remain here at the top. So it's kind of a little cheat to keeping your dashboard level filters for each of your charts. Let's now do maybe an area chart where we want to see maybe pipeline. We can change this to pipeline. And as Jason mentioned in his deck about drill down, so you can see that this automatically added a add date here. So we will automatically add a new area for you to put in a drill down. So if I actually wanted to just change this to maybe pie chart and we want to look at product, you can see this add hierarchy is right here. So I'm just going to pull over territory here. And just by pulling over this other field, a drill down hierarchy is automatically created. I can go here, I can drill down into product E, see that by territory. You get a nice breadcrumb up here so you can see the path of which you've drilled down into. If I had another level of hierarchy in here, I could drill down even further, but now I can also drill back up. So we'll do pipeline by product here. Hit the check. And then you have the ability as well to bring in additional data sources. So if I wanted to come up here and now add something from our Salesforce or CRM system, I can come up here and bring in multiple data sources into one dashboard. For here, I will just use the same one. So I'll click sample. We can stick with sales and we can create a map. So we'll come over here to map. We want to do world countries. We have a location. We have, let's do value of new seats. Bear with me, it's some fake data in here. Maybe let's try these. Be a little better. Well, hopefully you get the idea here. But from creating, I can quickly click the connect up here. It doesn't totally make sense here for the chart type that I'm using. So I'll just come up here and we'll do leads by territory.
And that one, you could also change the map to APAC, but not important for the demo. But in general, we offer a bunch of different maps.
Yep. So here you can see as I continue to add all my different chart types in here, all the widgets are kind of resizing to kind of fit the screen, but you have full control over how large or small these different chart types are, where they sit in your different dashboards as well. And then for here, we support 2 different themes inside the app, but as well through the SDK, you have full control over these colors, the color of the button, whether the button is round or square, the background of your entire dashboard, the fonts that are used, so that you can ensure that whatever you're embedded into your application fully matches the look and feel of your existing application. So we can just save this one out here. We'll just do new dashboard, that's fine. And then here at the overflow icon, you have different export options. You can add this to favorites. You can select your interactions if you want to turn on your crosshairs and different things like that. So if I now come over to the embed samples that we have over here, you can see if I open manufacturing here, just another example, and you can see at the overflow, I don't have all those same options. So in addition to controlling the look and feel, you also get to control what actions people can take on the dashboards and visualizations. So if I didn't want people to edit or export, these things can also be removed. But just showing the embedded editing experience is I can come here, edit right from within the application that I'm in. I can come into an edit mode here, and you have the full reveal experience editor right inside of the embedded application. So if I wanted to not look at revenue in this chart anymore, I can remove that, change the title, and then hit the check up here. And then some of the other cool features that Jason alluded to was the statistical functions. So if I was to, let me just come back to home and look at sales here. In this chart here, I can change the chart type actually if I wanted to. So we give like your end user, just as a viewer, the ability to look at your data in a different way. But what we will do is, again, with those ease of use, simple and beautiful, is we won't provide you with a chart that doesn't make sense for your data. So behind the scenes of using a date and 2 values, we're not going to provide you with a pie chart to select here because it doesn't really make sense for the data that's being used. So you can change this to a line chart, and then you have a number of statistical functions out of the box here where you can perform some outlier detection, linear regression, or even forecasting. So if I wanted to come here and forecast out 4 periods, I would just hit the check. And now my data is forecasted out with a confidence range, as you can see here, 4 months into the future. So I can just collapse that. You can see that it stays as is on the chart. As me, just as a viewer, now it wouldn't fully save, but if I was an editor and I had this functionality as a creator of this dashboard, I can have that saved out to live as my viewers come and look at it. And I think, Jason, did I miss anything? I can pass it over to you again if you wanted to show the.
No, that's great. Thank you.
Yep.
All right, so let me go ahead and reshare my screen. Go. I wanted to show a couple things here. First off, for those of you that have been customers or people that have been evaluating prior to last Friday, you're like, hey, where's your API doc? So we have had documentation on the website since day one, but we were missing the client-side JavaScript API reference. So we've added that for the majority of you care about the reveal view, the reveal dashboard, the reveal SDK settings. Like these are the top ones you care about. And to give you an idea, here's the reveal view. And when I'm talking about an API, what I mean is you've actually got real methods like on visualization editor closing. That's when someone clicks the X after you've been done editing. You may want to do something special there in code, update your own database, send an email, call a bot, doesn't really matter. But all of this is a super rich API. You can see here, can edit, can save as, show export image, etc. So this API doc is out there. There's sample code for the majority of the functions. Definitely take a look at it. It's going to help you significantly. So I will close those guys out. And then I wanted to show a couple things here that I pulled together. So we at Infragistics, we have a bunch of different tools. One of them is a new tool called App Builder. And this is your typical scenario where you're designing some new app and then, management says, or, the product manager says, we want dashboards. So what I did in this demo is I took one of our samples called team collaboration, and I just opened this up within our app builder. So this is a WYSIWYG app builder. It allows you to drag and drop. There's a whole toolbox of stuff that you can create screens with, create whole applications, connect to data, etc. And then we generate Angular code on the back end. And then in the future, we're adding React and Blazor and some other stuff. But the point is the product manager wanted this button here to show a new screen of a dashboard selector, right? So they wanted to show dashboard. So what they said is, I want to embed BI. So they called Infragistics and said, how do we do this? And we said, here, this will take you 2 hours. Just go ahead and do this and you're done. So what I did is I have this sample app, and then what you can do with our Indigo Design App Builder is you can download the code for this. You can preview it. But what I want to do is here, I've got these things and nothing happens. I just kind of made this up. I want to open up real dashboards connected to real data. So I went ahead and I downloaded this code. And that's what I'm going to show you here in Visual Studio Code. So this is this example. So you can see here, I've got my screens that, basically I just opened up the same thing in Visual Studio Code. But in order to get reveal embedded in this guy, that screen that I have the dashboard things it's called my dashboard viewer component. And this has just a couple list items with some, images. And then I open up my dashboard component and I want to actually show these dashboards. So in order to do that, I have to add a div where I'm going to stick my reveal SDK. And now inside this div is where that entire screen, all that stuff that Casey was showing you, is actually going to live. And in my code for this is all I need to do to enable that div to show you everything Casey just showed you. So it's literally, 2, 4, 6 lines of code, including an error if this doesn't work. And the reveal view, which I just showed you in the docs, that is where you're going to set all these properties. So you can see here, I'm setting my theme to Mountain Dark on the SDK settings. Reveal view can edit equals true. So I can actually click the edit button. So this guy actually lives in the reveal JavaScript file. So this is the SDK, reveal infragistics.reveal.js. You deploy this down to the client, and then you get all of this good stuff for you. And then just in all transparency, this is an Angular application. So in my Angular .json, you can see here, I've got some scripts that I need to include. I'm including that reveal file that I just showed you. And then we use a couple other dependencies. So like 3 steps and this thing is working. So that's my client, right? So now that application I just previewed, now it'll light up with Reveal, but where is it actually getting the dashboards from, and where is it getting the stuff from? Well, it's getting it from my server. So my server in this case is, it is an ASP.NET Core app, and I have two versions of it. One of them is actually running on locally, and one of them is running in the cloud. But all of the magic happens in a class that you add, which is my server, and I can go and fetch dashboards. I can save dashboards. I can set filters on dashboards. So for this specific application, I've got a couple things going on. I've added the, actually I've added here my NuGet package for ASP.NET Core, and I've added Swagger, the swashbuckle ASP.NET Core API, so I can actually make this a web API. And then in my startup, what you can see here is, because I'm using a server and I'm using Swagger, I need to add cross-origin resource. I think it's called scripting. I get it mixed up. And then I'm just going to enable Swagger to give me a web API on this. And then I've got some dashboards here on the server. So these are these R- files. So everything Casey showed you, she can save out as an R-, and then those can get loaded from the server. This is all I did. So I hit the run button here. You can see it's stopped now. By default, I get my Swagger API. So these are all of the things that Swagger is enabling me to do. And to play around with this, we can try out like dashboard file. And one of my dashboard files is called marketing. I'll say, get me the marketing dashboard file. You can see the HTTP get marketing. This is the actual URL it passed. And then this is the JSON file of my marketing dashboard that's coming back down into my Angular app, getting processed by that Reveal.js through the Reveal view code, and then getting stuck inside of that div. So I can't stress how simple this is to do. Like, you should be able to get up and running in a day. And what we have on GitHub is a bunch of different samples. So if you're an Angular dev, a React dev, WPF dev, we have a ton of samples that I'll show you in a second, which allow you to kind of pull this together. So now here's my running app. If you remember here over here, whoops, no, over in VS Code, I've got this guy. I already did npm start, so it's actually running already. Now I'll click this button. So now I'm back to this screen. Now when I click one of these guys, there's the Reveal SDK. It went to my server, it grabbed the marketing dashboard, and it stuck it right here. So now what can my users do? They can do basically everything that you just saw Casey do. I can do a time series. I can do a linear regression. Let's do this for 7 periods and see where this sucker's going. It's going downhill. Maybe I don't like this visualization. Let me do this visualization. Oh, what else can I do? Rename, copy, export, export to Excel. All of this is through that 6 lines of code and that Reveal.js. All of this is happening in the client, Angular, React, jQuery, web components. It doesn't matter, Vue.js. Nobody cares. We allow you to do whatever, but it's all available to you through a simple API. And I'll click on this guy. This will bring up the sales dashboard. Looks a little different. Has a few different things here, but it's the same deal. I can bring this guy up. I can change the visualization between a table and a spark line. I've got some editing capabilities here. In fact, if I just go in here and edit, everything that Casey showed you from the editor is available. Maps, charts, blah, 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 whatever you want. So this is how all of this pulls together into this client application. And then you've got the server running in the cloud. Now, the way that I told my my app where to go. So here is the Angular app I was building. There's a simple script that you put into the app root and your index.html or your default.html. This is running at localhost That's my ASP.NET Core app running locally. And again, this is a Mac, right? So it's not a Windows machine. I'm running a Mac running the server and the client. Opens up all kinds of opportunities. I also have this running on Azure. So if I just get rid of this guy and change this, you'll see I just recompiled. Now let's go back to my browser and I'll refresh. It's still here. So it actually is just pointing to Azure in the cloud and instead of local host. So how cool is that? So this is coming from Azure. My application, my corporate app, my ISV app, my line of business app is running locally through VS Code. This is happening through a server, through an Azure instance right now in the cloud. So that is the embedded piece. In literally a few minutes, I just modernized my entire application. The theme matches the theme of my application, and I can deploy this out to my users with a bunch of preset dashboards, or I can let them create their own dashboards. So that's why this is so cool and exciting. If you go over to GitHub and go to Reveal BI, we've got a bunch of stuff out here. If you're doing Java, take a look at this repo. If you're doing React, take a look at this repo. If you're doing WPF, take a look at this repo. But if I go into my React, we've got a bunch of different things. This particular one here called theme switching. If you download this server and just run the server locally, it already has Swagger and all that in it. And you can use the web API and it makes it easy to use. And of course, this is a React client. It doesn't look as beautiful as my other, my Indigo app builder design guy here, but all the capability and functionality is there. So take a look at github.com/reveal BI and get up and running really quickly. It's pretty simple, pretty straightforward, and pretty exciting. So with that, let me go ahead and pop open my PowerPoint here. I've got the ultimate guide to embedded analytics, and we'll wrap this up. So thank you everyone for coming. We have a very simple, oops, let me decline that. Very simple wrap up here. We'll make the slides available on SlideShare. If you want the slides immediately, you want the PowerPoint deck, no problem. Email Casey or myself and we'll give it to you. As soon as you email us, we'll just zip it up and send it over. But I want to thank everyone today. Hopefully you got a lot out of this. We'll stay online a couple more minutes and answer some questions. But again, go to revealbi.io, download Reveal, the SDK, start playing with the app, take a look at GitHub for any of the samples. And if you want to like a little deeper dive, shoot Casey an email. And she will set it up with Steven Obregon, who is our lead sales person on Reveal, and will help you get started with the POC. So thanks everyone again. And I want to thank Casey for her demo and doing a great job on all of these slides. I really appreciate it. So thanks everyone.